for this morning. This conversation surrounds the Public Sector Workers Trust Project. And joining us via Zoom is Dr. Philip Castillo, who is the mutually agreed trustee for this project. Good morning, Doc. How are you?
Good morning, Channel 5. Good morning, Belize. I'm glad to be here.
All right. So let's give us a little bit of a history of the Public Sector Workers Trust. What does it entail, and why was it necessary for you all to join forces for this project?
The genesis of the Public Sector Workers Trust goes back to 1995-97 era, when the government of Belize could not pay increments for public officers. As GOB's financial position improved, what government did in the years after 1997 was that government restored increments, government gave promissory notes to the affected public officers, and in addition, government gave the unions, I think it was 480,000 shares in BTL. And the dividends from these shares were to be used to finance projects for the benefit of public officers. So if you could just go back over that, the dividends from these shares were to be used to finance projects for the benefit of public officers. However, the GOB wanted the unions to form a trust, and it was this trust that was to administer the projects, basically. So that is, in a nutshell, the genesis. We fast forward to 2013-2014, when the trust was actually formed. Now, that's when I would say, well, controversy started, because some public officers were of the impression that the trust was to give them back their increments.
Right.
Obviously, our view was that that is not the purpose of the trust. 2 lawsuits later in 2021, notice lawsuits later in 2021, 2 Supreme Court judgments have firmly established that the purpose of the trust is to do projects, and that is what we're doing. We're undertaking projects for the benefit of public officers.
So when you talk about projects, that would entail campaigns, that would entail education walks. What is it that you are trying to express to the public through these projects?
Well, our first and major project focused on health. Notice increments were frozen in 1995, which meant that you were a public officer in 1995. Now, whatever was your age in 1995, this year, 2023, you'll be 28 years older. In Belize, life expectancy is around 74, which means that as you grow older, you experience a range of health challenges.
Yeah.
Our first project then was in the area of health. What we wanted to do, we wanted to ascertain the health status of all our beneficiaries. And to do that, we partnered with the best medical institutions in this country. We partnered with, in Belize City, we have 19 institutions countrywide. But in Belize City, we focused on the healthcare partners and the Belize Medical Associates. In Orange Walk, we focused on the Northern Clinic, I think, Northern Medical Clinic. In Corzal, I think it's at Angel. In the South, we focused on Havana Clinic. We have clinics countrywide, basically, in every single district town. And the aim is that our beneficiaries could access like preventative healthcare packages. These preventative healthcare packages, if you on your own, if you go to one of these clinics, based on the range of tests and diagnostic tests that you will undertake, it will cost you in the region of around $600 to $700, including consultations. We have gotten that as a package deal for $200 per beneficiary, which we pay. So that's one component of our health project. What we've also done, we have what is called a health grant, whereby if you do not want to access the preventative package, so for example, then you want to check your eyes or you want to focus on dental issues, then we have established MOUs with dentists in Belize City and with opticians in Belize City and countrywide, and you take your eye test, etc., with BCVI, and we give $200 towards that.
Okay.
And then finally, the final component is what we call the health grant. We have found out that some of our beneficiaries have a range of health challenges and they're already seeing doctors. So what we do then, we put in $200 in their account, and that helps to defray the cost of their medical treatment.
So the trust itself then would consist of funds to help out the various persons under the project, if in case they're not provided health insurance or life insurance or anything that would enable them to not be able to afford certain things. Is that, am I correct there?
Well, yes, but then bear in mind that only 15% of this country has health insurance.
Okay.
So 85% of Belizeans do not have health insurance. And even if you have health insurance, there's a co-payment.
So then you are alluding to majority of the persons that work in and around the public sector do not make enough to either pay tax or to be able to get insurance.
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay. So how are these funds then obtained to this project? Wouldn't it just be better to provide a raise and pay for them to get tax and to pay insurance? Why do we need for this trust?
We are not in a position to raise pay. Only the government, only your employer can raise your pay.
Okay.
The funds that the Public Sector Workers Trust has, we started with the dividends from BTL in 1997.
Yes.
And those dividends grew. But what also happened was that the dividends were invested first by the unions, because when the unions got access to the dividends in around 2007, the unions invested in CDs at the time at the Bank of Nova Scotia. At that time, CDs yielded around 8%. Nobody's giving you that kind of money these days.
Mm-hmm.
When the trust was actually formed in 2014, we started a loan scheme whereby we loan the funds to our beneficiaries, and based on the loan scheme, the trust funds also increased. So then, fast forward to now, where the trust has around $8 million in cash, and of that $8 million, the substantial portion comes from a government account that still exists, another portion comes from the BTL shares, another portion came from the loans that we did, the interest from those loans. Combined together, we have around, at the end of December 31st, 2021, our balance sheet showed $8 million in actual cash.
Wow. And so now the project itself is working towards helping out their members, but how are you dividing, or I don't want to say dividing, how are you distributing?
Well,
yeah.
I guess I'm assuming.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, my question was just going to be that the first project is focused on health.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about then choosing which projects and also which investments to make with the funds?
Well, what we did a countrywide survey. When we first started around 2014, we did a countrywide tour, and we to ascertain with our beneficiaries, to liaise with our beneficiaries as to the type of projects they wanted. Yes, several beneficiaries wanted a cash payment, but we are not in a position. We have no legal authority whatsoever to pay cash. And the other project that came about was the health project. Initially, beneficiaries wanted insurance, and we did liaise with insurance companies to ascertain the feasibility of insuring our beneficiaries. That did not prove feasible because, again, our beneficiaries are an older cohort. It's extremely challenging and expensive to insure an older cohort. So we focused on health, and that has been going well. Health is our first project. We have another ongoing project, food assistance, whereby we provide $150 worth of groceries to every single beneficiary, and that has also been going well.
And I think we also have Mr. Marvin Blades, who's joining us now via Zoom, and he's the trustee representing the Public Service Union. And Mr. Blades, I'd just like to get you into the conversation to talk about what the trust and the projects that they do, how it impacts the public service, and what your involvement is in the project, well, in the trust, I should say.
Good morning. The projects, as Dr. Cass has indicated, the way the projects are done, we do what we call a survey with our beneficiaries. We do 2 country-wide tours in the past, and one of the requests from beneficiaries was to aid them in what we call a food assistance. Everybody was stating, all the beneficiaries were stating that food prices was too expensive. And they wanted an assistance in food. And so we decided to, because the respondents continue to bring up food as an issue, so the trustees decided to venture into a food assistance project. And that's one of the reasons why we have that project. Now, we do have other projects we have on stream that we were trying to venture into. There is the project we're looking at, the food security project. It's, if you know, when you go to the doctors, when they check your health, there is a section where they put you to a food nutritionist. And the food nutritionist normally tells you, oh, you need to input this, you need to get your vegetable uptake in, you have to do all these different things to get yourself back to good health. And if you would go to the market presently, you would know that that's not an easy venture, because the cost of vegetables and other foods that we do eat are expensive. So the food security project was going to have beneficiaries produce their own vegetables in their own backyards to cover the needs that they require to keep them healthy. Because of course, as the trust, we have to ensure that our beneficiaries stay healthy and have a longer life so that they can continue to benefit from the trust. And so on the excess of the vegetables, we would find an avenue for a different entity, be it any store or these vegetable people to buy the excess of the vegetables.
So
that's one of the...
sorry, Mr. Blades. So if you are a member of any of these unions that are under the Public Sector Workers Trust, you are eligible to gain these benefits.
Yes, yes, you're right. Every project that we venture into, all beneficiaries has a right to access the project if they so do. The one thing that is important, though, that not every project will impact every beneficiary.
Right.
And that's why we also have an array of projects.
Okay.
So we don't limit our beneficiaries from sending us a project. And so that's why we do the consultation to get input from the beneficiaries. Okay. And we've done Dangrega and Punta Gorda a couple of days ago. And so Thursday and Friday of last week to get their inputs. And they came up with, some of them came up with some different projects. We're looking into those to see how they can be implemented, how we could incorporate those projects see who they will. Sorry, continue.
How do you, I don't want to say select, but how are you eligible for these projects? Even, for example, if I am I'm a member of the BNTU, and I can get I get health insurance, that would mean that I'm not eligible for the health insurance project. Yes?
Actually, the project, the health project is threefold. The
Okay.
first part is preventative.
Okay.
Preventative is for those persons who don't have health insurance. For those who have health insurance, we have a cover health credit.
Okay.
That's when you do your dental with credit to the institution for you to use. So if you have a standing arrangement with BMA, Belize Medical Associates, we can put through a health credit for you, $200 towards that, whatever you are doing at BMA. Same thing goes for Archangel or any other institution. Or if you have a prevailing illness and you need to go out the country, that can go direct to your account for you, because you can't access any health services in Belize you want to do outside. And so you still get that same benefit as do other persons who have health insurance and those who don't.
Okay.
So the access is the same.
Okay, so go ahead.
And I was going to ask Dr. Castillo, perhaps, how is the legwork and the logistics of these projects carried out in terms of the trust liaising with, for example, the medical institutions or the grocery stores? How is that accomplished?
Well, we have a 3-person office on Main Avenue in Belize City. The trust actually has an office, and it's our office staff. It's our 3-person, hard-working office staff who have liaised with all these institutions countrywide to develop MOUs. So the 3-person staff, they've liaised with the 90 medical institutions countrywide to develop our MOUs. These same staff have liaised with about 8 supermarkets countrywide to develop our food assistance project. So we have a paid staff that does all our legwork.
Wow. And I understand that you are, as Mr. Blades rightfully mentioned, you are partaking in several outreach meetings and so on, and you've already done 2 of those in the South. Where is your pathway going, and when is your next outreach?
As early as next week. We should be in Orange Walk on Wednesday, and we should be in Kawazal on Thursday. That's this week, actually. January 11th, as the screen is showing, that is Orange Walk. January 12th, that's Kawazal. And then we come to Belmopan the next week. We come to Kai the next week. We end in Belize City, I think, on the 26th.
All right.
No, there are 2 components to our outreach. About the day, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., we register beneficiaries and we provide them with access to the projects. So, for example, then, if you are in Orange Walk and you're not yet registered, if you think that you're a beneficiary, you bring your documents, we verify those documents, and we provide you with access to the food assistance on the spot and the medical assistance on the spot if you want. In the night from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., we have a general meeting with our beneficiaries to gauge their perspectives on any projects they have, to garner their views on where they want to see the trust going and those kind of issues. It's a kind of open and frank discussion with our beneficiaries.
Okay. These projects, again, allude to persons that have been working in the public sector as of 1993, 1994.
No, 1995, 97. That is correct.
So if I just applied for a union within the public sector, I'm not eligible?
No, the court has defined the beneficiaries as those whose increments were affected in the 1995-97 era. So that is the working definition that we utilize.
And if I never applied, but if I was never engaged in any public workers union or the BNTU, am I still eligible even though I was working within that time space?
Yes, as long as you are paid by the public purse during that time, you are a beneficiary of the Public Sector Workers Trust.
Dr. Castillo or Mr. Blades, can you speak to us about the intricacies of distributing these funds properly and the transparency and accountability that you all have to take, the measures?
We are audited annually
Okay.
And we follow all existing audit procedures, meaning that we use the best auditors in Belize City. We advertise for our auditors, and then we use our auditors. We use the auditor for 3 years, and then best practice requires that after 3 years we change our auditors. And all our audits are published on our website, pswt.org.bz.
Wonderful.
So the most recent audit you would see on the website would be the 2021 audit. 2022 just started, and then we are in the process of finalizing the books so that those books are available to the auditor for 2022. So that's where our funds are. That's where our transparency is concerned. We publish our audits, and they're available for any beneficiary who want to peruse them, who want to see them.
And I understand you're doing these outreach to inform your memberships. But let's say I didn't go to this outreach. How can I know that I am eligible for these funds?
Do that. Okay, sorry. So for you to be sure that you're eligible, you have to go on our website, pswt.org.bz. And if you go on our site, you click on the 3 hashtags on the side. If you click on the side, we have what we call a list of beneficiaries. You go and check on that list. And if your name is still not on the list, and you know you are working in 95, 97, you would have to go to Social Security and get an employment history from 94 to 99 and present it to the trust. And then once we see that you were working for government, we enter you into the list, and you can access the benefits as a beneficiary.
Is there a timeline for this?
There is no timeline for beneficiaries to access the benefits. The benefit is available to all beneficiaries. We don't have a timeline as to when you can access. We would prefer that you try to access this as early as possible, but it's not, we didn't have a time bound as to when you'll access those benefits. But they are available to the beneficiaries. And if you want to call the office, you can call our office at 223-7799, and you could talk to our office. However, we must say, because there are so many beneficiaries calling at the same time, you have to show some a little patience, because there is only 3 phones and so many people calling at the same time.
And I just wanted to kind of reiterate to Gavin's initial question, because it seems that the functionality works within Belize City, but if I am in the south or I am in Belmopan, can I still gain those benefits of going to perhaps St. Luke's Medical or a grocery store in Belmopan?
Yes, certainly.
Okay.
We have MOUs with providers countrywide, with health providers countrywide, and we have MOUs with supermarkets countrywide. So wherever you are in this country, including the Keys, you have access to our benefits.
How do I know?
Because you apply, you start the process, meaning that you send us your email. Brother Blades mentioned that you could phone in, but the reason why we discourage that is that because several persons are calling in, the lines are generally very busy. Yeah. So we encourage persons to send us an email, and then when you send us an email, the office staff try to respond to your email within a 48-hour period. And then we send you a code, basically. And then with that code, you go to the supermarket, and then you access your benefits, your food benefits. For the health project, it's different. You need to come to the office, but that's why we're doing the outreach. So we're coming to you.
Okay.
And are there, I know while the consultation process is still ongoing, are there any sort of projects in the pipeline or any priority areas that the Trust might be looking on focusing on in the future?
I mentioned earlier that in total, if you total all our funds, you're looking at around $8 million.
Yes.
But what we have been, it took the Trust 27 years to get $8 million. And what we are finding out is that you could spend $8 million in 1 year, basically, or less. Yep. Because let's say we have around 10,000 beneficiaries, and the food project is $150 per beneficiary. So that's over $1 million.
Yep.
beneficiaries have been asking for a repeat, meaning that the food project, they've gotten several thousands of beneficiaries have accessed the food project, but they're asking for a second round of food projects. If every round costs over $1 million, if you're looking at 8 rounds, the trust is bankrupt.
Yeah.
Focusing on health, you get bankrupt even faster because health is $200 per person.
Yeah. In light of this, are there any movements to develop other projects outside of this $8 million to see how there can be funding to help out your beneficiaries in the future?
Like an investment initiative
Like an
or something like that?
an investment initiative.
Well, yes, that is where we need now, because the projects that we have on stream, these involve spending money.
Yeah.
So we also need projects that involve generating money. We have invested in the Mercy Bonds. St. Catherine's Academy launched some Mercy Bonds some years ago, and we invested in those, and those bonds are yielding returns of over 5%. We need to focus on other areas of investment. In our countrywide tour in Danriga and Punta Gorda, we received investment ideas. So one of the things we now have to do is we need to sit carefully and whatever investment proposal you receive, there's a way how you ascertain the viability of that investment. You need to do something called an economic rate of return or an internal rate of return. And that is our next step, to ascertain the viability of these potential projects, to ascertain if they're viable, and if they are, then they become potential areas of investment.
Dr.
One other area, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
One other area, the trust used to do a way called the loan program, and the last case that we had, even the judge recognized that the loan program grew the trust by 20%, and we have been, because we have been in a court case with the claimant, that loan program was placed on injunction. And so we have not been able to do that loan program. So that was one of our investments that we were also doing apart from the Mercy Bond and all the other investments we're looking at. And discussing with beneficiaries is what would be good investment projects. But just to bring out the part of that loan program, as I say, it was doing well with the trust and increasing it by 20%.
Wow. Dr. Castillo, Mr. Blades, we are close to wrap up. One more time for our viewers for the outreach program and how they can access more information for their benefits.
We will be in Orange Walk this Wednesday, and we'll be in the North Wednesday and Thursday.
All right.
We'll be in the West the following week, that's Belmopan, San Ignacio, and we end in Belize City. So we are, as we speak, we are engaging in a countrywide tour. If you are a beneficiary, if you think you're a beneficiary, you could access our website to see if your name is there. If your name isn't there, you need to bring proof, sufficient proof that you are a beneficiary. And one of the things we would ask for is your Social Security contribution history, and then you send us an email. But we are reaching out to our beneficiaries. We want all our beneficiaries to be aware of what we're doing, and we want all our beneficiaries to access the projects that they are entitled to.
Wonderful. Dr. Castillo, Mr. Blades, thank you both so much for coming on to talk to us about the PSWT, the Public Sector Workers Trust. If you think you are a beneficiary, you can go on to pswt.org.belize to find out more information about how you can access your benefits or the outreach. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for being here this morning. And with that, we're going to take our next break, and we'll be back with our second segment. Stay tuned.